It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. And I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. If I attack, it can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today in studying A Course in Miracles. We're ready for our review number 216, which is actually lesson 196 review. It can be but myself I crucified, sandwiched between the ideas, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And on this particular one, he's trying to really get us to recognize that whatever we send out is what we're getting back. So send out love, because that's what you want to receive back. Send out joy, because that's what you want to receive. That's what you want to receive back. He says, if I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. You forgive someone, and salvation comes to you. It can be but myself I crucify. I can also say the positive of that. It can be but myself I lift up. Of course, we always understand is with the help of God. We're nothing without God. All that I do unto myself. Okay, well, that's our lesson for today. Let's go look in our text reading. And we're going to read the first about 3 pages of chapter 24, the goal of specialness. Before we get started on that, let's, what's going on around the world? Airplane crop duster day. Just because of the chemicals they put in there, I'm not too fond of them. Clean your floors day. Of course, I've heard of people that have been using crop dusters to reseed things. Michio Fukioka talked about putting seeds in little clay balls and then spreading them out. And the ones that make it were the ones that needed to grow in that climate. Lots and lots of different seeds, and just let them all come up and naturalize. Clean your floors day. Esther day, and that's from Esther Earl, who died of cancer, and before she died, the author John Green asked her, well, how would you like to be remembered? And she said, I'd like people to vocalize their love for friends and family while they can, because that's the only thing that's important. So vocalize your love today on Esther day. Grab some nuts day. International hangover day follows beer day. Mead day. Make some mead. Clown day. Well, there's a little clown in all of us. We ought to let it come out and play often. Disc golf day. Jamaican patty day. Jamaican patties are a savory pastries. Not sweet, I don't think. Mustard day. There's a mustard of the brassica family, and there's 3 or 4 different varieties. Synapsis hirta. They're all in the brassica family, but Synapsis hirta, Synapsis alba, Brassica juncea, and Brassica nigra are your main mustard plants for growing mustard seed. Play outside day. That's good to do every day. A little outside play. Watermelon day. Citrullus lanatus is, and I like to grow sugar babies. They're just the right size for 1 or 2 people, and cut one open, you can eat it right then and don't have any waste. Let the chickens and the dogs and the horses eat what you don't eat. Rind. Watermelon day. My dog loves watermelon. Don't you, Jed? Sandcastle day. And taxpayer appreciation day. And, you know, I wouldn't call yourself a taxpayer unless that's what you are. I mean, you know, what you claim is what you now have to stand for. And I don't like to think of myself as a taxpayer. I like to think of myself as a son of God. Okay, and then in edible landscaping, T. Camellia, and it says that in T. Camellia, is it Camellia? Oh, Camellia. And I said Brahm yesterday. I said Graham pies. It was Brahm pies. Those Brahmin pies. Anyway, T. Camellia, which is Camellia genus sinensis is the species. The profuse flowering, dense, round, evergreen Camellia sinensis, whose leaves are used for green, black, and white tea, is an excellent ornamental. Glossy dark green leaves and white tall flowers with yellow centers. Bush is compact and round, about 6 foot tall and 5 foot wide. Tea is tender to strong winter. Tea is tender to strong winter winds and can defoliate from being too cold. Tea is as hardy or hardier than most Camellia. In zone 7, so this T. Camellia is hardier than most. In zone 7, plants do well protected on the east side of the building. Generally, tea enjoys dappled shade. The bush is not susceptible to insect damage or disease. Leaves are harvested throughout the growing season, picked when they are small. Space 6-foot circle, zone 6B through 8. And why it says on the east side, I expect that has something to do with the sun. You know, they need to warm up slowly if it gets really cold. So you have some protection on the east side, maybe? I'm not sure. I would have thought they would have said on the south side, you know, where it'd be less cold. Maybe a little of both would be good. Okay, now let's go take a look at our chapter 24. Before we start on it then one more time. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. You know, what you send out's what you're going to get back. So learn to send out, not attack. Okay, introduction under the goal of specialness. Forget not that the motivation for this course is the attainment and the keeping of the state of peace. There's your reason for learning this book. Forget not that the motivation for this course is the attainment and the keeping of the state of peace. Given this state, the mind is quiet and the condition in which God is remembered is attained. It is not necessary to tell him what to do. He will not fail. Where he can enter, there he is already. And can it be he cannot enter where he wills to be? Peace will be yours because it is his will. Can you believe a shadow can hold back the will that holds the universe secure? God does not wait upon illusions to let him be himself, no more his son. They are. And what illusion that idly seems to drift between them has the power to defeat what is their will? 2. To learn this course requires willingness to question every value that you hold. Don't let there be a rock uncovered that you don't look under and say, okay, what's in my mind here? To learn this course requires, here's a requirement, requires willingness to question every value that you hold. Wow. That's why we want to have those quiet times, 15 minutes morning and night at this point in our mind searching period. So we can uncover these values that we hold. To learn this course requires willingness to question every value that you hold, and also a little pause every hour of the day, telling yourself, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. And see if you're thinking some thoughts about crucifixion. You know, look under those rocks of your thoughts in your mind. To learn this course requires willingness to question every value that you hold. Not one can be kept hidden and obscure, but it will jeopardize your learning. No belief is neutral. Everyone has the power to dictate each decision you make. For a decision is a conclusion based on everything that you believe. It is the outcome of belief and follows it as surely as does suffering follow guilt and freedom sinlessness. There is no substitute for peace. What God creates has no alternative. The truth arises from what he knows, and your decisions come from your beliefs as certainly as all creation rose in his mind because of what he knows. God doesn't have belief, he just knows. Paragraph 1. Or of this next section, section 1, specialness as a substitute for love. Love is extension. To withhold the smallest gift is not to know love's purpose. Love offers everything forever. Hold back but one belief, one offering, and love is gone, because you asked a substitute to take its place. And now must war, the substitute for peace, come with the one alternative that you can choose for love. Your choosing it has given it all the reality it seems to have. Wow. So you can pick the opposite of love or the opposite of peace. There's only one opposite. It's conflict or attack or war, he says. Paragraph 2. Beliefs will never openly attack each other because conflicting outcomes are impossible. But an unrecognized belief is a decision to war in secret, where the results of conflict are kept unknown and never brought to reason to be considered sensible or not. And I might mention just in passing, that's why I would never go to war and fight someone and kill someone. I would rather die than kill someone, because I know what's important in reality. And I'd hope that you begin to give that consideration too. And many senseless outcomes have been reached, and meaningless decisions have been made and kept hidden, to become beliefs now given power to direct all subsequent decisions. Mistake you not the power of these hidden warriors to disrupt your peace, for it is at their mercy while you decide to leave it there. The secret enemies of peace, your last decision to choose attack instead of love, unrecognized and swift to challenge you to combat and to violence far more inclusive than you think, are there by your election. You go to fight because you want to. Your election. Do not deny their presence nor their terrible results. All that can be denied is their reality, but not their outcome. 3. All that is ever cherished as a hidden belief to be defended through though unrecognized is faith and specialness. Again on that sentence. All that is ever cherished as a hidden belief to be defended though unrecognized is faith and specialness. You've got to think somebody's more important than somebody else, or somebody's less important than you, in order to even have the idea of attack. This takes many forms, but always clashes with the reality of God's creation and with the grandeur that He gave His Son. What else could justify attack? For who could hate someone whose self is His, and whom He knows? Only the special could have enemies, for they are different and not the same. And difference of any kind imposes orders of reality, and a need to judge that cannot be escaped. 4. What God created cannot be attacked, for there is nothing in the universe unlike itself. But what is different calls for judgment, and this must come from someone better, someone incapable of being like what He condemns, in quotes, above it, sinless by comparison with it. And thus does specialness become a means and end at once. For specialness not only sets apart, but serves as grounds from which attack on those who seem, in quotes, beneath the special one is, in quotes, natural and, in quotes, just. It's because it's not either beneath, natural, or just. But it seems that way from the upside-down perspective of the ego. The special ones feel weak and frail because of differences, for what would make them special is their enemy. Yet they protect its enmity and call it friend. And friend is in quotes, because you're really not treating them like a friend, you're treating them like an enemy. On its behalf, they fight against the universe. For nothing in the world they value more. 5. Specialness is the great dictator of the wrong decisions. Here is the grand illusion of what you are and what your brother is. And here is what must make the body dear and worth preserving. Specialness must be defended. Illusions can attack it, and they do. For what your brother must become to keep your specialness is an illusion. And who is worse than you must be attacked so that your specialness can live on his defeat. And the word worse was in quotes because it's not really, there's really no difference. Our lesson today, it can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. So for what your brother must become to keep your specialness is an illusion. He who is worse than you must be attacked, so that your specialness can live on his defeat. For specialness is triumph, and its victory is his defeat and shame. How can he live with all your sins upon him? And who must be his conqueror but you? 6. Would it be possible for you to hate your brother if you were like him? Could you attack him if you realized you journey with him to a goal that is the same? Would you not help him reach it in every way you could if his attainment of it were perceived as yours? And there's the reason why you wouldn't ever want to fight anybody in an official war, but even in attack thoughts. That's where it all begins anyway. You are his enemy in specialness, his friend in shared purpose. Specialness can never share, for it depends on goals that you alone can reach, and he must never reach them, or your goal is jeopardized. Can love have meaning where the goal is triumph? And what decision can be made for this that will not hurt you? Paragraph 7. Your brother is your friend because his Father created him like you. There is no difference. You have been given to your brother that love might be extended, not cut off from him. What you keep is lost to you. God gave you and your brother himself, and to remember this is now the only purpose that you share. To remember God is the only purpose that we share. And so it is the only one you have. Could you attack your brother if you chose to see no specialness of any kind between you and him? We both are equal. You wouldn't want to diminish him with an attack. Look fairly at whatever makes you give your brother only partial welcome, or would let you think that you are better off apart. Is it not always your belief your specialness is limited by your relationship? And is not this the enemy, in quotes, that makes you and your brother illusions to each other? Paragraph 8. The fear of God and of your brother comes from each unrecognized belief in specialness. That's why we want to do those meditations, those mind-searching periods, so we can find those unrecognized beliefs in specialness. The fear of God and of your brother comes from each unrecognized belief in specialness. For you demand your brother bow to it against his will, and God himself must honor it or suffer vengeance. Every twinge of malice, or stab of hate, or wish to separate arises here. For here the purpose that you and your brother share becomes obscured from both of you. You would oppose this course because it teaches you and your brother are alike. You would oppose the course because it teaches that we're the same as our brothers. You have no purpose that is not the same, and none your Father does not share with you. For your relationship has been made clean of special goals. For your relationship has been made clean of special goals. And would you now defeat the goal of holiness that heaven gave it? What perspective can the special have that does not change with every seeming blow, each slight or fancy judgment on themselves? And our last paragraph 9 finishes this section. Those who are special must defend illusions against the truth. For what is specialness but an attack upon the will of God? You love your brother not while it is this you would defend against him. You love your brother not while it is this you would defend against him. This is what he attacks and you protect. Here is the ground of battle which you wage against him. Here must he be your enemy and not your friend. Never can there be peace among the different. He is your friend because you are the same. Wow, we're all one organism, really. One body of Christ. That's how I like to think of it. I am not a body, I am free. I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself that I condemn. It can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. All that I do unto myself, even though it seems like someone else. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. If I forgive, happiness will be given me. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. It can be but myself I crucify. Okay, well, we're all in this together. Let's treat our brothers like we treat ourselves. Isn't that what Jesus told us 2,000 years ago? Love your neighbor as yourself, because he is yourself. We're all part of the body of God. There's only one of us. And that specialness, thinking you're better than someone else and that you can judge them and push them away and that you'll be now happy, not going to work. And we're starting to learn that, aren't we? Fall in your peace. You want peace? Well, then you have to embrace everyone. And embrace everyone. That's how we reach peace. Don't let there be anybody that you have bitterness towards. Okay, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucified. And our word for peace today is out of the Pompeian language of Pompeii, which is in the Carolina Islands, and the word is Melelilei. Melelilei? I think that's Melelilei. That's hopefully that's close. If you're a Pompeian, hopefully you tell me I'm doing it right. Melelilei. Melelilei. Melelilei to you. Peace be with you. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. It can be but myself I crucify. All that I do unto myself. If I attack, I suffer. But if I forgive, salvation will be given me. It can be but myself I crucify. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Melelilei.